cost of production, and the cost of that production varies from factory to factory and region to region. On the auction price trend, during the financial year 2024-2025, the overall average auction prices for the smallholder tea factories dropped to an average of US dollars 2.41 and from US dollars 2.54 the previous year. The smallholder tea factories under the management of KTDA account for nearly 50% of the total tea produced in the country. The other proportion is accounted by the private independent factories, about 25% of that, and plantations and multinational factories, about 24.4% of that, and the state-owned Nyayo tea zones, some 0.7%. The decline in prices affected across all tea producers, not just in Kenya, but across the region. And the drop in prices was due to challenges in key export markets, such as Pakistan and Egypt, which had inadequate forex for importation of tea, conflicts in Sudan, the market access challenges, as you well know, in Iran. The markets collectively account for about 70% of Kenya tea exports by quantity. You will also remember, Mr. Speaker, that Russia is also a destination of our tea, as is Ukraine. And those two markets were effectively closed for our markets, and consequently, the higher supply than demand. West of the lift holder factories had lower prices at an average of US dollars 1.78 per kilogram of made tea. This is attributable to lower quality compared to what the market demands. Apart from the smallholder factories in the west of the lift, other producers who produce lower quality teas include areas like Mishimkuru in the east of the lift, private factories, and multinational tea factories. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, it might be worth noting here that the smallholder tea factories always produce higher quality irrespective of the region than the larger plantations. Buyers prefer tea with brighter liquors and good flavor and uniformly graded and blackish physical appearance. These attributes are ascertained through organoleptic tea testing and virtual method, which is the conventional mode of testing tea across auction centers in the world, Sri Lanka, India, and Mombasa. This method is also used in ascertaining the quality of other beverages such as coffee and alcoholic beverages such as wine. Many of the international buyers have preferred factory garden marks that suits their consumer taste preferences. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the weighted average of auctions for small tea priorities by the region, in the financial years 2021-2022, east of lift fetched about 2.87 against 2.54 with an average of 2.71 across the country. In the year 2022-2023, east of the lift fetched 2.84, west of the lift 2.47 with an average price of $2.67. In the year 2023-2024, east of the lift was 3.02, west of the lift was 1.99 with an average price of 2.54. East of the lift in 2024-25 was 2.95, west of the lift 1.79 with an overall average of 2.41. The weighted average auction prices for the private and multinational tea factories in the same period in 2022 was 2.05, 2023 1.67, 2024 1.46, and 2025 1.59. Mr. Speaker, let me also highlight, I spoke about the exchange rate and the reason why there was a differential. You will recall, Mr. Speaker, that during the financial year 2024-2025, the shilling weakened to the dollar to exchange at a rate of 129.56 from 1.44.10 in the previous year, 2023-2024. So if you look at the exchange rates, then you'll realize that in 2021, it was about 111. In 2022, it was 126. In 2024, it went to 144. And in 2024, 2025, 129. Mr. Speaker, besides the quality and the exchange rate, the cost of production also affects how much money is eventually paid to the farmers, particularly in the last payment, which we are calling the bonus. In the financial year 2024-2025, the average cost of production went up to Kenya shillings 112.96 per kilogram of made tea from 104.93 in the financial year 2023-2024. The cost of production was higher in the west of the lift than in the east of lift. That is 134.34 compared to 102.26. Due to the higher administrative costs occasioned by poor corporate governance practices, such as high numbers of board meetings, overemployment in tea factories, as well as factory operational inefficiencies. Mr. Speaker, I have given there in my report the cost of production per kilogram of made tea with a comparison of both regions, as I have established from the average that I have given. So therefore, in terms of the payment to the farmers, in financial year 2024-2025, the payments to the farmers dropped to an average of 56 shillings per kilogram of green leaf from an average of 64 shillings per kilogram of green leaf in the financial year 2023-2024 and Kenya shillings 59.02 in the financial year 2022-2023. The drop in payments of about 12.5% was attributable to the combined effects of the lower prices, weak average payments in Kenya shillings per kilogram of green leaf ranges, and I would like to give a comparison from 2021 to 2022. In the east, it was 56 shillings. In the west, it was 42. In 2022-2023, in the east, it fell 65. In the west, 51 shillings. My apologies. Mr. Speaker, in 2023-2024, in the east, it fell 78 shillings versus 49 shillings in the west, and 69 shillings versus 38 shillings in 2024 and 2025, respectively. The west of leaf factories received the lower payments at an average of 38 shillings compared to 69 shillings for the east due to lower prices and relatively higher cost of production. For tea farmers in the west of the rift to get higher prices of made tea, like counterparts in the east of the rift, Rwanda, or indeed even some of the east factories, for example, some of the west factories, for example, Momul tea factory in Kericho, which fetched even higher than the prices in some of the factories in the east. We have to deliberately improve the quality of green leaf. On the second issue of the measures taken by the ministry to ensure tea farmers receive fair, uniform and transparent bonuses based on production levels, Mr. Speaker, we are cognizant that lower tea prices are due to quality of tea. The government has initiated various programs to improve the livelihoods of smallholder tea farmers, which aims at improving the average payments to the smallholder tea farmers from 50.18 shillings per kilogram of green leaf in 2022 to at least 100 shillings by 2027, irrespective of the area, as enshrined under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And these measures include the following. Given that the quality of tea is majorly determined by the quality of green leaf, the ministry and other relevant industrial players have developed a guideline/standard on the quality of green leaf plucked and delivered for processing by tea farmers to the factories. A multi-agency committee comprising of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, the Tea Board of Kenya, the Tea Research Foundation, tea factories and traders have finalized developing a draft guideline on the quality of green leaf to be adopted by tea factories across Kenya. The guideline prescribes the minimum standard on green leaf quality to be processed by all tea factories and once implemented, it will bridge the quality and price differentials between the West and East blocks. The Tea Board of Kenya, in collaboration with the counties, is currently sensitizing tea farmers and factories on green leaf quality standards. Secondly, over the years, the evaluation of tea in Mombasa has been based on organoleptic testing methods adopted by tea brokers and tea buyer exporters. Notably, organoleptic method of ascertaining the quality has been used for a long time by tea producers and tea buyers globally. However, this method has been subject to suspicion from some quarters, especially farmers who have been agitating for a more objective and verifiable method of tea evaluation. In view of the above, the Tea Board of Kenya is in the process of establishing a quality analysis laboratory facility in Mombasa to validate the tea quality and safety of teas in 3 aspects. Number 1, the analytical testing of teas based on 3 sets of parameters, namely the physical quality parameter, which I explained earlier, the microbiological parameters, heavy metal contaminants, and pesticide residues, and emerging contaminants. These are the 3 analytical testing tea methods that will be used. The second one is a scientific verification of teas offered for sale at the auction to determine the evaluation based on the quality by ascertaining the levels of nitrogen, polyphenols, and ash content, which have scientifically been proven to be correlated with sensory attributes. Finally, number 3 is a sensory evaluation of tea. The Tea Board of Kenya will eventually carry out sensory evaluation of teas as part of quality assurance activities to complement the scientific testing of tea to be used in determination of price. Civic and civil works for the laboratory are complete, and equipping the lab is ongoing to facilitate its operationalization. We request the National Assembly in this regard to also support allocation of funds necessary to fully operationalize the laboratory. Number C is strategic tea quality improvement programs. This program is aimed at assisting tea factories with lowest tea quality to improve and meet the market requirements. It entails, Mr. Speaker, conducting blind testing of teas from all licensed tea factories for evaluation and ranking. Then, selecting 15 lowest ranked tea factories in quality for inclusion in the quality improvement program. The sensitizing of the tea farmers and the factory management on the standards of the green leaf is a crucial part of that process, and as is undertaking on-site capacity building trainings with tea makers for black CTC and orthodox teas. The program has been running for 2 years now, and it is expected that by the end of 5 years, most tea factories producing, quote, plainer to medium quality teas will have transited to above average or premium teas. These teas are in turn expected to fetch better prices, as has been the case with the performance of some tea factories in the West Block. And as I said earlier, Momu is an excellent example in Kericho County, whose green leaf quality is strictly adhered to as a plucking and handling culture. Number 4 is the removal of the reserve price. The reserve price introduced in July 2021 was meant to guarantee tea growers a minimum return. However, it was removed in September 2024 due to challenges of the quality reserve price mismatch that created further challenges of depressed demand and accumulated of unsold stocks. Following introduction of reserve price, farmers reverted to maximizing on quality through plucking of substandard green leaf as opposed to observing green leaf standards. Since the removal of the reserve price, the absorption of teas offered for sale at the auction has increased and significantly reduced the accumulated stocks from 103 million bags to the normal market levels of about 30 million kilograms. 103 million kilograms to 30 million kilograms. This has not only enhanced liquidity for the tea factories, but also reduced on financial borrowing and forced tea factories to revert to quality tea production. Mr. Speaker, we have to modernize the factories. And in order to address the inefficiencies in various tea factories, the government is providing some 3.7 billion shillings loan facility at a concessionary rate of 5% from the Kenya Development Corporation to all smallholder tea factories, those who wish, in order to modernize equipment and machinery in small tea factories in Kenya. It is also expected that the factories will use the facility to also expand their production of orthodox teas, which fetch higher prices in the niche markets in order to reduce reliance on CTC teas, which are currently facing challenges of oversupply in the global markets. KTDA is also investing in factory modernization and energy solutions to cut costs and improve competitiveness. And in this regard, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the Committee on Energy is also going to assist us in fast-tracking the clearing of KTDA energy production areas so that they can cut the costs. Mr. Speaker, green leaf diversion, that is hawking and factory compliance, is a crucial part of this, again, aim at improving the quality. In the last 1 year, collaboration efforts between the Tea Board of Kenya and the Ministry of Interior have beefed up surveillance operations to curb green leaf malpractices in tea growing areas. Consequently, the tea industry has experienced reduced levels of malpractices, especially green leaf diversion by tea growers. In addition, the Tea Board has enhanced compliance inspections, and most tea factories and producers have shown considerable improvement in complying with tea industry code of practice, what we popularly call KS 2128, and with the terms and conditions of their manufacturing licenses. This has enabled them continually improve in undertaking good agricultural practices at the production of green leaf and good manufacturing practices in processing of tea. There has been remarkable reduction in cases of tea hawking and theft evidenced in the number of complaints and cases reported. Mr. Speaker, in terms of financial and governance audits, in order to mitigate against increasing cost of production at tea factories, the Tea Board of Kenya has initiated financial and governance audits in various tea factories aimed at establishing the corporate governance practices in tea factories and any more practices within the management or board that could negatively affect the interests of the tea farmers, particularly in their earnings. In the last 1 year, 6 factories have been audited, and the directors required to account for various malpractices that affects payments to tea farmers. However, there are limited provisions in the Tea Act 2020 to ensure good corporate governance practices. In this regard, an amendment of the Tea Act to allow the Cabinet Secretary to prescribe corporate governance guidelines and the code of conduct of industry players mirrored along the WASREB water sector governance guidelines in 2024, passed by this House, is required. Mr. Speaker, we are in the digital era and digital age. Digital marketing and e-commerce and B2B marketplace is the next place to go in order for us to increase the prices. As an alternative marketing channel, the Tea Board of Kenya will work jointly with the private sector partners to implement and promote an online trading platform, e-commerce, to enhance market access for Kenya tea and tea products. The objective of e-commerce platform is to provide a direct link between the tea consumers and the tea producers, resorting to short route to market, increase tea sales, both value-added and bulk teas, by providing the consumers with a variety of high-value teas to choose from, convenience to the consumer, and to create brand awareness of Kenya teas. Mr. Speaker, we have also enhanced diplomacy and marketing initiatives. Under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the government, through the executive, has spearheaded several efforts to promote Kenya tea in Africa, which is primarily for value-added teas, and this is the good thing. Such has been done in Egypt, where allocation of space at the free zone in Alexandria was negotiated to facilitate distribution of value-added tea in Arab Maghreb Union and the Gulf region. The same applies to Ghana, where repeat orders have been made since the flagging off of initial order for value-added teas under the Guided Trade Initiative. The Africa Trade Fair has also held in Algeria to promote tea amongst African nations under the same Africa continental-wide free trade area. This was followed by the formation of a joint commission of cooperation between Kenya and Algeria. In Morocco, a joint commission of cooperation has been formed with value-added teas as a flagship project to help opening up of markets for Kenya green tea. The government has also formed a joint technical committee to unlock the stalemate on Kenya tea trade with Iran. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to point to the House that last week there was a team led by my PS which visited Iran to negotiate on this matter. In addition, linkages of Kenya tea exporters with major retail outlets such as Walmart in North America is also being made. But Mr. Speaker, we also have to have sustainable funding of tea industry programs. Since the abolishment of the ad valorem levy in 2016, funding of industry programs like research, promotion, development, regulation, and infrastructure has been reliant on exchequer funding. Consequently, notwithstanding the increase in earnings from tea in the last 10 years, very little resources have been plowed back into the industry programs that are critical in order to make the tea industry sustainable. For example, the budget for promotion, which was in excess of 100 million shillings in 2016, over the years have been reduced to Kenya shillings 30 million, which means that the tea industry has stagnated with respect to market development. With its current budget, the board may not be able to implement the global tea industry market development strategy, which is key in addressing the glut that currently exists, causing increased levels of unsold teas in Mombasa. Kenya mirrors the strategies being used by major competing producers such as Sri Lanka, which has recorded world success in market development and branding of tea. Why? As a tea producing and exporting country, Sri Lanka charges a promotion levy of 1%, approximately $2 million annually, for market research and development and tea promotion. This gives our competitors an added advantage in the same markets we are all targeting. The development and gazettement of the Tea Level Regulations 2024 to operationalize Section 53 of the Tea Act 2020, which provides for a levy that will be used to promote Kenya tea, research, development, among other programs, is truly, truly a game changer. Mr. Speaker, in terms of regulating and control of costs, as I said earlier, to mitigate against higher cost of production, factories, through decisions made in their AGMs, should be encouraged to invest in cost mitigation measures. Factories have also signed new management agreements with KTDA, which amongst other issues include a reduction of the management agency fee from 2.5% to as low as 1.5% of the gross sales value, and adoption of costs of seconded staff by managing agents. In addition, a cost driver analysis, CDA, should be undertaken on the differences between the cost of production for tea factories from the East and the West blocks, and action taken to address on governance challenges, Mr. Speaker, in small tea factories. In order to address the governance challenges contributing to inefficiencies, high operational costs, and governance gaps in tea factories, the draft Tea Industrial Corporate Governance and Code of Practice will soon be gazetted to pave way for implementation. In addition, the Kenya Tea Board shall enhance the scope of the random audits of all factories in order to help in identifying wastages and malpractices by the boards and curb them. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we are at a loss to understand why some boards would be in opposition of an audit, while we believe that indeed every factory board should welcome an audit so that they can truly establish that there are no malpractices in their factories. In terms of the finalization of the tea industry regulations, Mr. Speaker, and in order to address a myriad of challenges negatively affecting the performance of the tea industry and impeding it from realizing its full potential, the Tea Board of Kenya, in collaboration with the ministry, is finalizing the following set of regulations. Number one, registration and licensing regulations to provide for the procedure and terms and conditions for licensing and registering tea value chain players. Number two, tea levy regulations to provide for a sustainable model of funding tea industry programs. Number three, tea general regulations to provide for regulations of all the activities being undertaken by tea value chain players. And finally, the tea trading regulations to ensure efficiency and effectiveness of tea auctions and competitiveness of Kenya tea. Mr. Speaker, on N, we need to review of the second payment model, which is what we are calling the bonus. And research by the Tea Board of Kenya has revealed that most small-scale tea farmers are highly dependent on loans and advances from SACCOs and other financial institutions, which can partly be attributed to the payment model adopted by KTDA managed factories. In order to address liquidity challenges by the tea farmers, quarterly second payment models should be adopted where the second payment is made every 3 months as opposed to the annual payments. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I've been asked by the Honourable Member to provide a timeline with which the Ministry will address these challenges and disparities. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of green leaf quality guidelines, this is a continuous exercise. On the establishment of a laboratory for quality analysis and tea testing, we believe that between July 2024 and by June 2026, this will be done. On strategic tea quality improvement programs, this is a continuous exercise even as I speak. On the removal of tea reserve, that was done sometime in September in 2024. On the modernization of factories, again by June 2026, we hope that this will be at least ongoing. On the green leaf diversion and hawking stoppages, this is a continuous exercise. On the financial and governance audits, again by June of 2026, we will continue to do so, but that will also be a continuous exercise moving forward. And on the digital marketing and e-commerce, we hope to launch this by June of 2026. The diplomacy and marketing initiatives that we have are also continuous, as is the regulation and control of costs, and indeed Also, the governance challenges in smallholder tea factories. In terms of sustainable funding of tea industry, again, Mr. Speaker, and the programs on tea levy, this is by June of 2026. And we hope to finalize the tea industry regulations again by June of 2026 and review the second payment model with a gazette notice again by June of 2026. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Kiara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am satisfied with the measures that the ministry has taken. However, Honorable Speaker, I wish to reiterate that the ministry should make a proper follow-up, more so on the governance matters, and make sure that on the improvement of quality of tea and lowering the cost of production, Honorable Speaker, so that next year we don't come back here to be treated to the same measures, Honorable Speaker. I'm satisfied.
Minister, in addition to that, there is a committee. Actually, most of the members who raised the issue on tea bonuses are not here. There is a committee we set up, chaired by the chair of the Committee on Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga, which is sitting as we speak, and they indicated their report will be ready in a week or two. We close committee activities on the 15th. So this matter being what it is, we'll await the outcome of the committee. We'll share with you the report, and we may, if necessary, call you back on that particular issue if members so wish. Since the questioner is satisfied with the answer you've given, let's go to the question of Carido. Yes,
Mr. Speaker, let me confirm to the honourable member that indeed this exercise we are going to actually emphasize on. And Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the committee, indeed the chair has been in touch with us, yes. And we proposed that before the report is made, it might be a good idea to spend some little time with us so that we also inform policy issue on the report, if that is okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I will allow members who come from the tea growing areas, both east and west of the Rift, to meet you and look at the report together. Then they can inform the House. Question 084 of 2025, Daniel Carido, Igembe Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask this question. Could the Cabinet Secretary clarify the actual quantity of miraa exported daily from Kenya to Somalia, given that the Agricultural and Food Authority, AFA, reports an average of 15 tons per day, while the Nyambene Miraa Trade Association, a duly registered and the most active association of miraa farmers and traders, report exports of over 40 tons daily. Second, explain why official data on miraa exports to Somalia remains inconsistent and unreliable despite the continuous export since July 2022, and how this has affected trade negotiations and policy decisions between the two countries. 3, state the measures being undertaken by the ministry to ensure accurate reporting of miraa export data, safeguard government revenue, and promote equitable support for the miraa sector in terms of research, marketing, infrastructure, and budgetary allocation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
That should be shorter than the previous one.
It is indeed very short, Mr. Speaker. The question, I just need to scroll down, Mr. Speaker, because it was a question that was, there was a question before then, and I need to, yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me just open by very quick remarks to say and to inform the House that cat, popularly known as miraa in Kenya, is a major cash crop for Kenya and consumed and used for trade for decades. There are about 110,000 farmers growing cat in about 360,000 acres, benefiting over 1.4 million people who are engaged directly or indirectly in that farming. And Mr. Speaker, the annual production is estimated at about 32,000 metric tons, valued at about 13 billion, based on the prevailing market price of about 400 shillings per kilogram. About 80% or 90% is consumed locally and the rest is exported to different destinations. Somalia is the main export market and consumes over 95% of the total export volume. Mr. Speaker, on the honorable member's question, the average quantities of miraa exported to Somalia daily, as captured in the AFA Integrated Management Information System, ranges between 13 to 17 tons. That is 13,000 kilograms to 17,000 kilograms, and have annexed it in my report as Annex 1. The volumes exported varies from time to time since it depends on the orders granted to the exporters by their importers in Somalia. Somalia is the main export market for Kenya miraa, following its ban in European Union and Netherlands in 2021 and in 2011 and 2012. Since the opening of the Somali market for Kenyan miraa in July 2022, the country has exported a total of 17 million kilograms by October 2025 of fresh miraa. Mr. Speaker, there is a duplicity in the question, so I'll read the next one, which will answer the first one. In response to the second question, why the official data in miraa exports to Somalia remains inconsistent, the quantities of miraa exported at any particular time or any particular moment by exporters is dependent on market requirements, orders placed by the market, space available on the Kagwe airlines, and produce availability, among others. The ministry, through AFA and other partner government agencies, facilitate trade by issuing required clearance documentation based on the volumes and cleared by miraa exporters. Export data obtained from AFA, Kentrade, is consistent since all the three agencies have their system integrated. The final volume that is airlifted is indicated in their air manifest that remains with the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. The export and clearances process from farm to aircraft loading is shown in Annex 2. The main entry point for miraa, ferried by air from Kenya to Somalia, is Mogadishu International Airport, from where distribution to other towns and markets commences. Currently, there is no miraa export to Somalia from Kenya by road or sea that has been recorded since the year 2022. So there are some planned interventions in response to what the honorable member has asked. One is that the government will continue to engage the government of Somalia with a view of additional landing rights outside of Mogadishu. Discussions are also underway between my ministry and Interior, together with other stakeholders, to explore possibilities of export by road. The government agencies, that is AFA and KAA, together with the miraa traders, are working on initiating and facilitating miraa cargo flights from Isiolo to Manda Islands, from where traders can serve the external market by boat. So in terms of the third aspect of the question, the measures being taken by the ministry to ensure accurate reporting, because I think this ties up with the first question that the honorable member had asked for. The ministry, through AFA, has automated all its licensing and export clearance processes and instituted system integration with the government single window system, trade facilitation platform, and the Kenya Revenue Authority Integrated Customs Management System, ICMS. This has aided in removing the human intervention in data capture and verification. I repeat that, Mr. Speaker, the human intervention in data capture and verification. The following additional measures must be implemented to ensure that data is synchronized and possible loopholes are sealed. First, Mr. Speaker, a set of all airway bills and flight manifests to be availed to AFA and Customs KRA for export data reconciliation. Second, Mr. Speaker, all Miraa shipments for exports will be inspected by KEFIS so that they too conform to good sanitary and phytosanitary standards before leaving the country and the data captured thereof. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, there shall be crop inspectors from AFA to verify during the packaging and weighing in for export at the airport. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, all Miraa export data must be reported by the airline, which has not been the case, Mr. Speaker, to KAA every month, just like all other goods that are exported out of our airports. So in terms of the measures being undertaken by the ministry to support also the Miraa sector in terms of research, marketing, and infrastructure, since the scheduling of Miraa as a crop in 2016, the ministry has continued to mainstream Miraa as a commercial agricultural enterprise in Kenya, and in particular in Miraa growing regions of Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi. The ministry has supported Miraa/Mogoka value chain with infrastructure in Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Embu counties as part of the implementation of the Miraa Task Force report. In Meru, for example, 9 boreholes, i.e. 2 in Igembe South, 3 in Igembe Central, 1 in Buri, 2 in Igembe North, 1 in Tigania East, were constructed. 4 small market sheds, 2 in Igembe South, 1 in Igembe Central, and 1 in Igembe North, and 3 market sheds in Igembe Central, in Igembe North, and in Igembe South were indeed done and supported. In Embu, 2 boreholes were constructed, 1 in Bere North, 1 in Bere South, and 5 earth dams, 2 in Bere North and 3 in Bere South, and 6 small market sheds were constructed. In Tharaka Nithi County, earth dams and 2 boreholes were constructed in Tharaka Nithi sub-county. These infrastructures are to address the main challenges of irrigation water to boost production and productivity, and markets to ensure food safety standards are met for local and international markets. The ministry further injected seed capital to the tune of 220 million to Miraa farmers cooperative societies in Meru and Embu counties. The ministry established the Miraa Research Institute under the Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization, Act Cap 319, via Gazette Notice number 9365 of 17th of August 2021 to champion research in Miraa value chain. Currently, the institute is housed in Ruiru Coffee Research Institute. The ministry has further spearheaded market access initiatives locally and internationally, for instance, in Israel, Mozambique, Ethiopia, the DRC, and Djibouti. On the issue of budget allocation for development of Miraa sector, the Crops Miraa Regulations 2023 came into force in April 2023, and levies and fees were effected in 2023-2024 financial year. The authority has since collected a total of some 67 million shillings in fees and levies. That is Annex 3 of my report. The revenues collected are utilized in the development and promotion of the Miraa subsector through capacity building, supporting market access, and product development. Notably, part of the revenue generated was utilized in the trade missions in Djibouti, which culminated in the opening of the Djibouti market. Additionally, AFA supports Miraa activities, not only with revenues generated from the crop, but also from revenues generated from other scheduled crops. The government is committed to ensuring that Miraa value chains receives the optimum support and attention required to enhance its production and productivity, as well as market access. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Carrido.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the questions are not been adequately answered. First and foremost, I want to make it clear to Mr. Waziri that on the issue of the tons that are supplied, they are saying it's 15. Mr. Speaker, we bring more than 50 pickups every day. Every pickup carries more than around 1 ton. And I think the minister needs to have some clarification and report well done, because I think the information he has are not true. 40 pickups, we should be talking about 40 tons, not 13 tons. And we are denying the government revenue, because whoever is taking whatever is top of 15 is not known. Secondly, I want to make it clear to the minister that the research institute, which was started in Meru, not pick up, is not completed, and there is nothing going on. So there is no research which is complete. Thirdly, the minister said that we have a market in Djibouti, which is not true. We don't have any market. There is no Miraa going to Djibouti from Kenya. All Miraa that goes to Djibouti is from Ethiopia. So we have been denied an opportunity to supply Miraa in Djibouti, and the report says that we are supplying Miraa in Djibouti. And the government revenue was used to establish that market, which is non-existent. So, Mr. Speaker, the report is not clear, and I think the minister should go back and clear these facts and bring a good report and truth about all these issues concerning the Miraa industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Farah, Malim, you note that.
Mr. Speaker, I want to draw the attention of the minister to what the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, has classified Miraa. The study classifies Miraa Muguka as a drug containing the psychoactive substance cathinone and cathepine, which stimulate the central nervous system. When chewed, it has a euphoric effect. Is the minister aware that this drug is banned in the entire Western world and every other country, including the countries that are our neighbors, Tanzania, and even in Uganda? And if you're found with it in Tanzania, you spend years and years in jail. Why does the government allow a drug to destroy our people and destroy even some of our neighbors? Why can't we have an alternative to Miraa and use those lands and farms for purposes of coffee and tea and other crops that are a benefit to this country and that do not destroy our people?
Mr. Speaker, I want to make it very clear to the Member of Parliament that Miraa being identified by the NACADA as a drug. It's not only Miraa. Even coffee, even beer, they have been identified by NACADA as drugs. And I think Kenyan Breweries is running openly, BAT is running openly. So it's not only Miraa industry that has substances that has drug effects. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, the cathepine and cathepine, which is in Miraa, is of less effect to human beings than whatever is in tobacco.
The minister question,
so I want them just to do clarification to the minister, to the Member of Parliament,
yes,
that to the Member of Parliament that the effect of Miraa on human beings are less than those of coffee, tea, and cigarettes. So the Miraa is safe, and I think even my friend here, Farah, has been using Miraa for very many years. Mr. Speaker, you know Farah is the honourable member is preaching water.
Mr. Speaker, this young member of parliament from Meru, who by the way is a half Somali, you look at him very closely. I have never consumed miraa in my entire life. I'll be turning 70 next year and I've never consumed. This is a drug. And it's not only a drug here, it's a drug everywhere in the world. You think that the Americans do not know, the British, the Scandinavians, the Tanzanians who are next door to us?
Order, this is not active between the two of you.
Can he apologize and withdraw, Mr. Speaker?
Not that, Minister.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think I just want to add that KEMRI, the Kenya Medical Research Institute.
This is not debate. Ask the minister questions.
Okay, my question.
This is not debate.
I just wanted to say KEMRI has declared it as a drug. Okay, let me go to my question. I beg to ask the minister the following question. Could the cabinet secretary provide details on the reach of the nationwide animal vaccination campaign?
Order, Yusuf. You are a senior member of the House. I've given you an opportunity to joyride on Karido's question, not to ask your own question.
I just wanted to clarify that KEMRI has declared miraa as a dangerous drug. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the first matters raised in terms of the differentials in tonnage, Mr. Speaker, in response to the question, and when I was explaining the measures that we have taken, I did allude to the fact that we are aware that there is some malpractices that are within that industry. And I spelled out very many measures, the specific 4 measures, I think, that we are going to take in order for us to address the gap that you have seen. There is no reason for me to come back again. Even if I came back again, Mr. Speaker, I will give the same measures that we have given. And indeed, I am convinced, and the Honorable Speaker will be satisfied, by the time we are done with this exercise, the data that he probably has, we will very closely match the data that AFA will have. So I acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, that there is more practices in the trade, and that is what we are trying to address with the measures that I have given here at the moment. As for Djibouti, I did not say that Djibouti is buying miraa from us. I did say, however, that the government of Djibouti has now allowed us to take miraa to Djibouti. But from then on, it is business to business. There will be business people, and indeed there are business people who have approached AFA to be licensed to export a miraa to Djibouti. It will be business to business, and I have no doubt in my mind that there will be people who will do that. There are also people who from other countries, even Somaliland, have come and proposed that they should export miraa to Somaliland. But there are also limitations in terms of the geopolitical matters that are ongoing in that region, as you well know. And as for example, the transportation of miraa from Kenya to Djibouti, we have challenges in that area. We cannot take miraa via Ethiopian Airlines because Ethiopian Airlines does not quite welcome that on grounds that Djibouti is their market for miraa, because Ethiopia also grows miraa. So there are some complications within the systems. But Mr. Speaker, we are trying to address those issues amicably and diplomatically in certain areas, but forcibly and demanding transparency in the other areas. Mr. Speaker, on the issue raised by Honorable Maalim is on Nakada and so on. You know, the only thing I can say, Mr. Speaker, is that there is indeed a bill currently by the Deputy Speaker of the Senate to remove miraa from the Nakada lists. And Mr. Speaker, you realize, of course, that this is a pretty emotive issue across board. And I will not be able to personally be able to resolve those particular differences. But for the moment, miraa is a scheduled crop in our laws. And consequently, you know, until and unless something changes from there, we indeed will continue to trade in miraa. However, to Honorable Maalim's point, We are also encouraging farmers in all regions to practice mixed farming. We are encouraging them to do mixed farming. For example, in a lot of the areas that Miraa is grown, we have been there with AFA Directorate distributing avocado in the same region, so that in time, the farmers there will have choices between what they will export, whether they export Miraa or whether they export avocado or indeed macadamia. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Onyango Koyo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I would like the CS...
Ask question 083 of 2025.
Thank you, sir. I would like the Honorable CS to clarify the terms and conditions of the lease agreement for the state-owned sugar farms, including how the government intends to invest or utilize the lease proceeds for the benefit of the local communities. This has been enforced by His Excellency's recent revelation that they intend to sell government parastatals and ring-fence the money.
Order, Koyo. Read the question as you framed it.
Okay, sir. 2, state whether the lease rent payable took into account the value of the nucleus estate farming land and confirm whether valuation of the sugarcane within the nucleus was undertaken, and if so, indicate the total value. 3, explain the measures put in place by the ministry and the Kenya Sugar Board to prevent the creation of monopolies, given that the leased state-owned sugar farms have been allocated to millers already operating within the same command zones. 4, provide the current status of the legal disputes relating to the Miwani Sugar Company land and outline the steps being taken by your ministry to safeguard the land from fraudulent transactions. Thank you.
Excellent. Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In response to the first question by Honorable Koyo, the 4 state-owned sugar companies, namely South Nyanza Sugar Company, Nzoia Sugar Company, Shemeru Sugar Company, and Moroni Sugar Company, were leased out and handed over to private players on the 10th of May 2025 as follows. Number 1 is South Nyanza, which was leased to Busia Sugar Limited, Busia Sugar Industries Limited, Nzoia, West Kenya Sugar Company Limited, Shemeril, Kibos Sugar and Allied Industries Limited, Moroni, West Sugar Company Limited. The terms of the lease included, among others, number 1, the lease rental, Kenya shillings 40,000 per hectare per year for Shemeril, Moroni, and Shone Sugar, and Kenya shillings 45,000 per hectare per year for Nzoia Sugar Company. Concessional fees will be Kenya shillings 4,000 per ton of sugar and Kenya shillings 3,000 per ton of molasses produced. Goodwill was equivalent to 1-year lease rental and paid once in the first year. Other conditions of the lease included the following, Mr. Speaker. The lessee shall not assign, transfer, pledge, or make any other disposition of the lease or any part thereof. 2, the nuclear land shall only be used for cane development and not be used as collateral by the lessee. 3, the lessee to invest in cane development and modernization of the sugar mill through rehabilitation, upgrading of the machines, adoption of new technologies to improve the operational efficiency of the factory. Number 4, the lessee to invest in diversification into cogeneration of power, production, or bioethanol and allied products. Number 5, at the expiry of the time of the lease, all the initial and additional investments shall revert to the lessor. Number 6, the management and maintenance of nuclear estate and outgrower systems. The lessee proceeds will benefit the local communities through payment of bonuses to the farmers. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, on the state of whether the lessee rental payable took into account the value of the nuclear estate, the ministry leased out all the land, buildings, plant, and machinery. In other words, it's a complete package and the entire ecosystem. Only motor vehicles and livestock were exempted from the list of items list. The nuclear estate and standing sugarcane was not valued separately, since these were considered in the list asset portfolio that was already predetermined. On 3, Mr. Speaker, on the explanation of the measures put in place by the ministry and the Kenya Sugar Board to prevent creation of monopolies. The operations of the least state-owned sugar farms are regulated by the Kenya Sugar Board. The board was established by the Sugar Act of 2024. The Act has several provisions that give the Sugar Board regulatory powers for market monitoring, regulation, and control of unfair trade practices, which are used to restrain monopolistic behavior. The existing framework includes the regulatory oversight by the Kenya Sugar Board on compliance, cane harvesting, and milling operations, and number 2, farmer protection and sugarcane pricing frameworks under the Sugar Act of 2024. Besides the Sugar Act of 2024, the leased sugar factories are managed in accordance with the provisions of the Competition Act. The Competition Act provides that a person or firm has a dominant position in the market if the person produces, supplies, distributes, or otherwise controls not less than 1/2 of the total goods of any description that are produced, supplied, or distributed in Kenya, or any substantial part. Number 2 is that it provides or otherwise controls not less than 1/2 of the services that are rendered in Kenya or any substantial part. Following the listing of the 4 state-owned sugar mills, none of the sugar companies controls more than 50% of the market, and therefore the fear of monopolistic tendencies shall not arise. Again, Mr. Speaker, it is good to note that we also trade in sugar within the Comesa region. So it's not just our factories, there is also the Comesa production. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, is the status and the legal disputes related to the Miwani Sugar Company. Mr. Speaker, this has been an ongoing issue for a long time. And the parcel of land known as LR number 7545, number 21038, was initially subject of litigation in Kisumu. The case being the CSS 2025 of 1993. That is Nagedra, Saxin versus Miwani Sugar Mills Limited and 2 others, where the plaintiff alleged that he obtained judgment against the defendant and was granted an order to attach and sell the said land to recover a decretal sum. Miwani Sugar Company, 1989, Limited, was not a party to the case. And when they learned about the sale, they applied to the court for the sale to be set aside. Mr. Speaker, the High Court then set aside the proceedings that were used to purportedly sell to Crossley Holdings Limited and declared the case to be a nullity. Crossley Holdings Limited and Nagedra Zaxin filed an appeal at the Court of Appeal in Civil Appeal 261 of the year 2008, which appeal was duly heard and dismissed.
What was declared a nullity, the case or the sale?
The sale were used purportedly sale to the sale, Mr. Speaker, was declared a nullity in accordance with what the report we have, the report I have.
So it's not the case.
Yeah. So, following that then, in 2008, the appeal was made and jury heard, but was also dismissed. The court also reiterated the position that the proceedings that were used to effect the sale were also null and void. When the predecessor of the Kenya Sugar Board, Agricultural and Food Authority, commenced measures to lease the land, Crossley Holdings Limited filed yet another suit at the Kisumu Environmental and Land Court being petition number 6 of 2020, Grocery Holdings Limited versus the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries and others. And despite the court being notified that the issue regarding the legality of the alleged purchase was being settled by the Court of Appeal, has been settled by the Court of Appeal, the presiding judge, that is Justice A.O. Ombwayo, delivered yet another judgment declaring Closely Holdings Limited as the owner of the property. Miwani Sugar Company Limited and the Attorney General have filed an appeal at the Court of Appeal being Civil Appeal number E207 of
How can a junior court override the Court of Appeal?
Mr. Speaker, I authority in law.
Go.
As it stands, Mr. Speaker, there are two conflicting judgments on the issue of ownership. One from an Environmental and Land Court and the other from the Court of Appeal. The Cabinet issued a memo that directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock and the Attorney General to enter into a amicable settlement with Grocery Holdings Limited and record a consent. Mr. Speaker, this process is still ongoing. I submit. On the question, that's it, Mr. Speaker, because the next question was the one for Igembe.
Yes, and of course, Minister, there's been a petition presented before the House this afternoon on this matter, and at some point in time, your ministry may be caught in the crossfire. Koyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the CS on certain aspects. I only wanted to know, to inform him that we will need the valuation report of the belongings of the various factories before the lease was done. So this will inform whether they were done properly or not. And if possible, we would want to know the workers' plight. What was pledged during the leasing, I was involved in the leasing, and what was agreed has not been done to the workers, also to the suppliers. And we want these things to be addressed properly. Then when I come to the elephant of the House, I have very little to say. The Speaker has spoken. This matter you have read had been judged at the Court of Appeal, which was then the Apex Court. Now we cannot get the judgment of the Court of Appeal to be reviewed by a land and environment case. That is, somebody is trying to subvert the law. And we would want your ministry to be very steadfast the way you are. We are trying to address it from other quarters. And we also want to know the position of the locals. The locals' representation, when as these factories were parastatals, the government provided for directorship from the locals. But now, with the lease going on, I do not know how the interests of the locals are going to be taken care of, or whether the leasees are going to get the usual bygones that are known, that there are the people who are going to represent the interests of the locals, the local community. Now on supplementary, I would like to know, this House has passed the creation of the reconvention of the new Kenya Sugar Board, which is very useful to the farmer on the ground. But because of plethora of legal actions here and there, I do not know what steps your ministry is going to take to make sure that the board is finally in full operation. I rest.
Thank you
Minister,
very much.
Hold on, let's take Mwalimu Milemba.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. I really got interested in the minister's speak on Miwani. And he explains how Court of Appeal made a ruling, and later on, Court of Environment.
Court of Appeal didn't make a ruling, it made a judgment.
Allow me to use ordinary language, Honorable Speaker, because I'm not a lawyer like yourself. But thank you for those corrections. And then later, the Environmental Court also came in to make new orders. In fact, that matter is disturbing us. And you, as a Minister of Agriculture, you should be very keen and interested in this land because this was originally public land or government land. So then, what are you doing within your ministry to make sure that that land goes back to Miwani or public or the government itself? Thank you.
Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've heard the Cabinet Secretary talk about monopoly, dominant players in the market, and just want to bring to his attention that the entire Busia County and the neighboring region, we only have one sugar company. That's Busia Sugar Company. And are indeed involved in some very mischievous and probably market predatory activities, whereby they are leasing swaths and swaths of acres of land, purpose of growing sugarcane, and paying the local owners of the land meager, very, very little amount of money. And secondly, there's also a very interesting scenario, Honorable Speaker, and probably might not be his, but for him to note, that the other cross side of Uganda, there's an Indian company that has leased a large parcel of land from Uganda, and they have tilled all the way into the Kenyan land. I will be bringing a substantive matter, but just wanted to bring to his attention that if he's here, we have confiscated the sugar cane. We know where area we believe is in Kenya, and taken it to wherever we want to take it, should not be surprised, should not be a diplomatic matter, but to be self-defense. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the Honorable Koyo's issue of the valuation, indeed, there were valuations that were done. And as a matter of fact, I presented to the Committee of Agriculture a document that had all those details, but I'll be happy to provide the same. On the issue of employees, Mr. Speaker, what we had agreed and what we did do with the employees was to agree with the factories that for a period of at least 6 months, nobody was going to be laid off, because they had to assess who they will need and who they will not need. And there are two circumstances here, Mr. Speaker. There are people, and you will see it even in advertisements in the newspapers, where, yes, there are people who are leaving the factories. And obviously, you know, that they are not very happy because of that. And I sympathize with the situation. But there are also younger people now who are joining the factories. As this modernization process is taking place, you'll find advertisements for Chemeril and others who are looking for, you know, individuals, engineers, young engineers and technicians and so on, who are being hired. So even as some people are leaving, some others are also going in. And we have agreed with these people that we will try and treat these people as humanely as possible. Further, Mr. Speaker, we are under no instructions for no less than the President of the Republic, President Ruto, that no individual employee is not going to be paid, because most of the debt that was left, that we had with the employees is actually government debt on grounds that we were the shareholders. And we are the ones who owed those people monies from NSSF, monies from NHIF, deductions as such to those people. It is a government debt. So the government has to pay, you know, these employees, those who are staying and those who are being, particularly those who are being let go by the investors. But on the issue of the sugar board, let me just say the following, Mr. Speaker. You will recall that a while back, the Agricultural and Food Authority experienced exactly the same thing. In its wisdom, this House passed an act that included the selection of the election, indeed election, of people for the sugar board in certain zones. Now, Mr. Speaker, there is litigations galore on this matter. On the first instance, there are litigations regarding the zones, where, for example, some people in Munyara may not want to be in Miwani, and so on, in terms of the regional makeup. Secondly, even within the regional makeups themselves, there will be litigation regarding who is being selected. And Mr. Speaker, we might have no choice but to come back to the House and seek for amendments seek for amendments of the Act to allow for faster implementation of the Act. It took 5 years for AFA to come back to the House and get those amendments. I hope, Mr. Speaker, it can be done faster, for this. Otherwise, it is indeed quite feasible that it can delay for a long time not because of the ministry's fault, but because of the field and how it is. We have already established a committee.
Minister, after passage of the bill, which is now the Sugar Act, I come from the sugar zone, and there are people who have been campaigning to be elected as directors of Kenya Sugar Board for the last 3 years, campaigning continuously for the last 3 years. Something must be done. If you want Parliament to assist you, approach Parliament through the majority leadership to do so. It's not fair to those ordinary farmers. And you know how expensive campaigns of any election in this country are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as proposed, I believe that the way out is to approach Parliament so that we can make some amendments to allow for faster appointment of the board members. Just what you have said, Mr. Speaker, is in itself a problem, because that is what is happening there. And when eventually you get somebody elected, you will still go through litigations. And the usual, and as we know, our country is a pretty litigious nation. So, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of Miwani, yes, we in the ministry are as concerned as the people of Miwani on this issue. And as you can see, it's a matter that has been going on for over 20 years, or in fact, it's almost 30 years of litigation that has been going on this matter. And I think the decision to try and resolve the matter through the cabinet memo that is there is probably the way out of it. And once the settlement is made, then the farmers can decide and the people can decide whether indeed that is a settlement that they feel is fair or not. But Mr. Speaker, this is a matter, of course, I am continuously engaging with the Attorney General as the legal mind of the government, as it were. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of Busia Sugar Company, yes, I am aware that there are 2 factories in the Busia area. And I also know that the issue of Uganda in terms of transporting. But, Mr. Speaker, let me make it clear that as much as we have invested and as much as we have leased sugar, we are not yet in Kenya sugar sufficient. Let me clarify that for clarity, so that you don't go throwing, acquiring Uganda sugar when we need it, when we might still need it. Mr. Speaker, the 4 sugar factories that we are talking about were really downtrodden for many, many years. And even though the production of sugar went higher, last year, from about 500,000 metric tons to about 814,000 metric tons, our consumption is still over 1 million. And the long and short of it is that we have been relying on Comesa sugar to fill the gap that we have got. The other issue is that as we embark on the modernization of the factories, we are likely to do 2 things. Number one is that and through CARO and through the Sugar Board, we want to start implementing new sugar varieties. That means that certain areas you'll probably replant sugar varieties, hopefully that to take a shorter period. I think the other issue, Mr. Speaker, as you well know, is that we had to stop cane harvesting in order for cane to mature, because for a long time, farmers have harvested quantities of sugar but don't get commensurate prices because of the quality of the sugar. So moving forward, we are not just going to focus on the quantity, we are also going to focus on quality. This means that into next year and probably the other year, there will be disruptions of production, after which I believe towards 2027, in my opinion, by 2027, we'll probably begin even exporting of sugar. But cane does take time to grow. And the varieties that we want to produce will take time to grow. So, Mr. Speaker, If there is somebody from Uganda, please just first of all ensure that they are licensed to, they are authorized to bring the sugar, don't ban them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Adan Haji is in the house. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to ask the Minister to answer question 01.
You filed this question yesterday.
Yes.
Is it you or some other member?
It's me.
The member, I thought it was Abdikadir.
Pardon? It's me.
Yes.
Yeah, who filed it?
It's by private notice.
Yes.
I remember the minister calling me last evening, saying he had just received the question,
Okay.
and he was unable to assemble his team to assist him put together the answers. But let him tell us if he's ready, he'll answer it.
Okay.
If he's not, I'll forgive him.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, indeed, I'm not very ready for this question, but I would like to mention.
But if you are ready to answer it.
Yes, let me.
It's a very simple question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, let me explain the vaccination process that is currently going on in the country and to say the following. That first, as you will remember, in the ASO regions and in other parts of the country, there was resistance to the vaccination process, particularly because the process that was being used had been, I don't know how to use it, but there was a lot of political work.
It was politicized.
It was
Common
politicized.
knowledge.
It was politicized. Yet, it is a crucial part for us going forward, particularly if we want to enter the export market and indeed practice good practices for our people in terms of meat consumption and the health and economy of those in the ASO region who practice livestock farming. Mr. Speaker, since then, we have started a very healthy vaccination process. And not only have we started a vaccination process, we have started it via e-voucher and an electronic and digital system that we are calling AniTrack is the one that we are using so that we vaccinate the animal and also put in identification methods in the animals so that we know which animals we have vaccinated and which ones we have not vaccinated. This is something that we are rolling out. The AniTrack system has been tested in the government farms, in government livestock, and we are rolling out now in some counties for the same. And we are happy, Mr. Speaker, that county governments have now ably and very quickly adopted this method of vaccination. The vaccination exercise is going on, particularly for two diseases, the FMD and the PPP. And Mr. Speaker, we vaccinate in accordance with the measures that have been identified by the vet department of the ministry. But to say that we want mass vaccination so that in 3 years, if we vaccinate mass and continuously for 3 years, then we will be declared free of FMD. And a lot of the countries that are refusing to take our meat are refusing to take it because they know that FMD exists in our country. In fact, Mr. Speaker, you will remember that there was a president who visited us and who was given some animals from Kenya by our president. But our vet department will not allow the animals to leave because of FMD. So it is crucial that we ensure that the vaccination exercise is done and done scientifically. It is done scientifically because there is no point of vaccinating cows. You cannot identify the cows that you vaccinated and the ones you don't, and then they mix, and then you have to start from the word go. So I would like to appeal, Mr. Speaker, to the honorable members, particularly honorable members from the ASO region and the other areas that are not necessarily the ASO but are also keeping cows, including dairy farming, to accept this digital system that we are going to use for animal identification so that it can be scientifically implemented.
General policy statement. Do you have the numbers that the question is asking?
Mr. Speaker, I do not have the numbers on me. I will pledge and accept that to provide the honorable member with those numbers.
Yusuf?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think, as you initially said, the minister is not ready with the answers now. So what I will request is for the minister to provide written answers to my questions, because it's not the first time Kenya is vaccinating FMD and PPP. When I was 21 years old, I joined the Department of Veterinary Services, and up to recently, we have been doing this vaccination. But what is different is that identification. And some of us are an advocate of the vaccination processes. When it was declared that there should be mass vaccination on 30th of January 2025, this year, and when it was politicized so much, some of us were out there to campaign for the vaccinations to take off. But unfortunately, I have not seen it happening in my constituency or in my county. And that is why I had to ask this question. So please give us a written statement, answers to this statement. And also, if it has not started in the ASAL areas, we are there to advocate for it. We are there to convince our communities, and please let it start, because we know the value of vaccinating these animals. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Russell, then Rindikiri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I think you have indulged us on this particular question. And the minister has attempted to globally answer why disease-free zone in Kenya is really important. But I wanted to pose two general questions linking on the same, is the issue of drought. The rains have failed in the ASALs. And I think we might be facing the drought of 2019 to 2022 in the face. What is it that you are planning so that we don't face the colossal losses that we experienced that time, where we lost almost 3.5 million livestock? And also, last year, there was the livestock board that was gazetted, which corollary will be really helpful to your work in the sector of livestock. And we don't hear anything about them. Are they there? Is it active? Has it been operationalized? Please respond to us, because as livestock keepers and people from ASAL, we are really concerned that livestock board is not in place. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Rindikiri. Take those, Minister Rindikiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come from Meru County, but specifically Bode constituency borders what is defined as ASAL area. That's like Kipia North, Isiolo North, and like Kipia East. And in many cases, we fall victim of dryness and also diseases. My question first is, when are we going to receive vaccination program for each county or constituency? Because what the CS is saying is that we wait until they agree on certain things. Mr. Speaker, I think the Cabinet Secretary should be able to give us a deadline. Number two,
one question.
I think that's very important, okay, because he knows where we come from. There is an issue. Vaccination is one. Number two, I want to thank the government for ensuring that the price of vaccine has gone down. That's a plus. But now the problem is the availability and the supply is a serious question. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oyula.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask an additional question on vaccination. Can the ministry extend vaccination to Busia County, and in particular, Butula constituency? Or secondly, Mr. Speaker, we have a lot of tsetse flies in our areas. So most of the animals die because of the ECF caused by tsetse flies. What is the ministry doing to eradicate tsetse flies in some of our areas? Thank you.
Professor Jaldeza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what the minister had confessed is that he has not done education to the farmers and given affirmative action to educate the farmers on the significance of vaccine and that it plays a major role in preventing avoidable deaths. Mr. Speaker, come January to March 2026, we are going to face an impending drought. These farmers are going to lose hundreds of millions of their livestock. What are the mitigating measures the minister has put in place to save those animals?
Bashir Major.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think mine is just in line with what Professor said. Honorable region, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, as you plan to vaccinate, what plans have you put in place to mitigate the current drought situation? Because it's affecting livestock in that region. Thank you.
Minister, can you answer this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Clerk, what's happened to the mic?
Thank you.
Have you muted the mic? Where is the other mic?
That's not it's working, yes, it's working. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the outset, as I said, I was not intending to respond to this particular question because I'm not ready with the details that the members would like to have, and I do commit to giving all the details that have been asked for. But let me just say this for in terms of policy establishment, policy area, that in terms of the drought, Mr. Speaker, indeed, the members are right that it's been a debate every year in, year out. The proposal that is there, beings, that is why we have got the National Cereals and Produce Board, where we store feedstuffs. There's only one way that you save somebody or an animal if there is a drought. There has to be foodstuffs or feed that has been saved and has been put aside for the animals. And Mrs. Somebody or an animal, if there is a drought, there has to be foodstuffs or feed that has been saved and has been put aside for the animals. And Mr. Speaker, what we have established is feedlots. But one of the weaknesses that I found in the ministry is that the so-called feedlot can be described, yes, as a lot, but not as a feed, because there is no feed in where the animals are. We have proposed to the county governments going forward, in each of the feedlots that we establish, let us also establish a huge go-downs of hay and silage where we can keep feedstuffs, because it is cheaper to buy feedstuffs during animal feeds, during the high season. For example, during the rains, there is a lot of feed, silage and feeds across the country. And it all dries up together. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is cheaper to buy the hay and stock the hay than to buy animals, which is called restocking. It is cheaper to buy the food than to restock. In any case, even from a humanitarian perspective, the pain that a farmer will go through watching the animals die, has to be calculated within the cost of ensuring that we can create sufficient silage and animal feeds and store them in our feedlots, so that in a situation like this, we can bring them into a center and have the feedlots. The other one, of course, is the issue of a supply of water during drought and ensuring that we have got sufficient water supply. A lot of those areas also, the water pans also dry. So it's a question of using new methods, not just depending on a water pan that is likely to dry, or a water pan that has got no proper care in terms of linings and so on, so that it doesn't dry out as easily as they are doing now. So it is a topic that is on the table. I would like to get assistance also from the members of parliament from those regions, so that we can work together with the county governments to put priority in silages and feeds, because that particular aspect is actually the role of the county governments. But we are pushing as a ministry to make sure that they do so from a policy point. On the issue of the livestock board is operational. Is operational, maybe not as active as it should be, but then again, let's also give them time to organize themselves, because it's a new board. I remember actually it was appointed on the week that I think a few months that after I joined the ministry. So it is on board, but if you give them time, I'm sure they will do what they are supposed to do. And it's got some very good people in it, including a chair who I think is committed to this, to the cause. On the issue of the question from Meru on the issue of disease, vaccination, and the program that we ought to bring. Again, we are working on this with the county governments. And we have rolled out, Honorable Bashir, we have actually rolled out the vaccination in certain counties. Maybe we are not in your county yet, but we have rolled out the vaccination process. What was missing, and what to me is critical and important and must go together with the vaccination, is this ANITRAC digital system that we have to use to identify the animals. But Mr. Speaker, again, I'll seek the indulgence of the members of the House that there are some areas that were very resistant to the issue of animal identification. Very resistant. And I would like, as the Honorable Member rightly said, that the education to the farmers is something we must collectively do, so that as we address the farmers in various forums, it is good for us also to point out to them the importance of animal identification. Moving forward, it is the only way we are going to be able to export animal and to export beef outside the country. So on our part, we will embark on very, very vicious. We have been working on this thing for the last 1 year, because luckily for us, Mr. Speaker, this is a system that is homegrown. We are not going to import, the ANITRAC system. We have developed it ourselves with our universities right here in Nairobi. So we will not be importing it. It's a system that we have worked on, and we are also working on sufficient budgetary allocation to ensure that once we start the process of animal identification, we don't stop. So yes, there is need for us to go out there and educate farmers as to the importance of this one. We will obviously do so through the media and through other means, but I'm also seeking your support in ensuring that we do so. And indeed, in Busia, there is SSFly. As you know, we have got a division, our operator that we have established to deal with SESE and trichomoniasis. And through this organization, we are addressing the issue of SSFly. Effectively, one of the things that we are doing is introducing, again, technology in the spray of areas that SESE is breeding in. And we are introducing drones in those areas, just like we did for malaria. Because for malaria, you find that there are certain areas where a human being will not be able to go because of the nature of the terrain. But you can send drones there to spray the larvae that is in those regions. So we are also introducing technology to deal with the fly. And indeed, there was a meeting not too long ago here in Westlands in Nairobi, just discussing the issue of the elimination, or at least the control of the fly. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to
Minister,
beg your indulgence.
as a matter of personal interest too, I'm also a livestock farmer. I lose about 6 to 10 animals every year from flies in Bungoma. Bungoma, Busia, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, down to Siaya. We are the same ecosystem. And in the general area, we don't see any activities. Would you step up this fly control and treatment facilities? Charity Kadambi, you just walked in and I see you raising your hand. Give her the mic. Then we'll close with Nabi. Give Charity Kadambi the mic. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to take advantage of the presence of the CS for Agriculture and Livestock. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to ask the CS, are Kenyans safe with the chemicals, the pesticides, and the insecticides in this country, which is being used in our crops? And I'm raising this, Mr. Speaker, because recently I entered in the committee of the implementation, and I met so many reports which the current PS had been invited by the committee itself. And the question was like, they had done a recommendation of 365 chemicals to be scrapped in this country. But Mr. Speaker, sir, with the report, it's only 70 chemicals, which is part of insecticides and the pesticides, which has been scrapped. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the kind of the sicknesses in this country, with the cases of the cancers in this country, and very unique, dangerous diseases in this country, I'm just asking our CS, Livestock and Agriculture, are really Kenyans safe? And actually, what are they doing as the ministry so that to make sure that all the chemicals which were recommended by the implementation committee that are purely scrapped? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Nabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to pick from where you left. Last week, in parts of Kakamega, including my own constituency, and parts of Trans Nzoia, there was reported foot and mouth. Now, Mr. Speaker, the CS is more of promissory than practical. Under Schedule 4 of our Constitution, the Minister of Agriculture, national government, is to provide policy. Mr. Speaker, I'm very disappointed that we're still talking about drafts. Mr. Speaker, the CS needs to get down to work, pen to paper, paper to Parliament, Parliament to approve. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is Uganda has eradicated flies. Why is it in Kenya? 54 years after independence, we are still losing animals to flies.
Point made. Minister, very quickly, in less than 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I completely agree with the last speaker, first and foremost, and that more needs to be done in that area. We are quite practical. It is true that Schedule 4 gives policy and shares the agricultural responsibility between the two levels of government. But when it comes to national outbreaks of disease and so on, you'll find in the same Schedule 4 that we do get involved in sorting them out. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, the reason why you don't find mass deaths of animals is essentially because of the work that we are doing. But I do agree with the Honorable Speaker that we should do more, and we will. On the issue of pesticides by the Honorable Kagwe, yes, one of the policy statements that we issued immediately on my getting involved in Parliament is that in the ministry, is that we will not use any product that is not used in the host country that we buy the product from. That's number one. Number two, it is following those recommendations that we banned 77 products. We can't ban 365 products at once because certain products, the 365 products may be the products that we are using, but not necessarily all of them are necessarily dangerous products. And it is my intention, Mr. Speaker, that there will be no products that are going to, no dangerous products are going to be used in the Kenya agricultural sector. It goes further than that, Mr. Speaker. In my role as chair within the COMESA region, we have also, within the East African community and within the COMESA region, we have proposed that a product that is banned in one country within our region, it should also be considered as banned in the other country. Because we can ban all these products in Kenya. But if we are buying tomatoes and we are buying other onions and we are buying stuff from the neighboring countries and they are not banning them, our banning will be in futility. So we are acting not just as Kenya to ban the 200 and limit another 200. We have banned 77 and limited 230 other products, meaning that the 230 are being used only in accordance with certain restrictions and in accordance with certain conditions. It is not a matter we are taking lightly, Mr. Speaker. This is a serious issue. It's an issue of environment, it's an issue of health, and we do not take it lightly. And as I said, we are doing it both within and also outside. And the Pests Products Control Board is well aligned in this area. And we have made certain changes also within the board to give it strength in its laboratories for testing and for benchmarking as far as those products are concerned. And I'm quite alive to the fact that the House has been very insistent, including the Deputy Speaker of the House, in moving that we remove a lot of the harmful products in the House. It is not in anybody's interest to keep using them, and they will not be. I thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Speaker.
Minister. We'll end here with you. You can go back to your office. Yes, Koyo. Hold that, Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It came out from the Honour's Cabinet Secretary that what was leased was the factory, not the lands. We want the title deeds to either be kept by you or by the governor since lands are devolved.
He didn't say that.
No, he said that they did not lease the land. But the title deeds are in the hands of lessees. And we know some of them cannot stop at maneuvering to make use of the title deeds. They didn't lease the land.
He said,
yes,
if I got him right,
yes,
they leased the land, the factory,
yes,
with conditions that whoever has taken the factory
cannot be used as collateral.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm pleading with him that therefore they should rush to get possession of the title deeds. Because some of the lessees, we know their history.
To that extent, you are right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank
but
you.
it's not correct that they didn't lease the land. They
yes.
leased the land.
They leased the land.
But there are restrictions on the use of the security.
The security.
Yes.
Thank you.
Order, Charity. This is not how the House runs. Minister, you are released.
Thank you very much.
Next order, as we go to order number 9, I have a letter from Dr. Mutunga nominating Madenge, who is in the House, to move that motion. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the mediated version of the coffee bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023.
You have already called for the next order? Yes, the Honorable Madenge.
Mr. Speaker, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 2nd December 2025, and approves the mediated version of the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, coffee traditionally has been one of the key crops grown in this country and a key export earner. Mr. Speaker, when the National Assembly considered the Senate bill, almost 50 clauses were amended. And as a result, because the Senate did not agree with the amendments, we went into mediation. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Mediation Committee that devoted an entire Monday where traditionally the House does not sit and sat up to 7 p.m. to ensure that we did justice to arriving at a consensus bill. Mr. Speaker, 8,000 smallholder farmers produce coffee in this country on an acreage of between 0.2 hectares and 3. Mr. Speaker, these smallholder farmers account for up to 70% of the coffee produced in this country. The medium, small scale and medium estates who are growing coffee on between 2 hectares, on between 5 acres and 20 acres produce 20%, and the large estates that are planting coffee on above 20 acres produce 10%. However, Mr. Speaker, the smallholder farmers have really suffered due to failure to effectively regulate coffee production and coffee marketing and coffee trade. And this bill could not have come at a better time. The coffee sector has suffered with farmers being saddled with debts that do not, arising from financing programs that have not benefited the farmers. Subsequently, the government has on several occasions had to step in and try and bail out the farmers. But that cycle of debts has always recurred. And as a result, coffee production in our country has suffered, plummeting from a high of about 150,000 metric tons in the 70s to currently less than 50,000 metric tons. Fortunately, the government has come up with an ambitious plan to increase production in the period 2024-2029 back to the pre-1970 production. Yet, the acreage under coffee has, in the traditional coffee growing areas of Kiambu, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Murang'a, Bungoma, Kisii, Kisumu has gone down. The passage of this bill brings back hope not only for our country, as coffee is a key exchange earner, but also to the livelihoods of the ordinary people in this country. The production of coffee is expanding to new coffee growing areas in Kericho, in Nandi, in Mount Elgon. And therefore, there is a lot of hope that coffee will continue to give a viable alternative to rural households across the country. Mr. Speaker, in this bill, we have sought to re-establish a national institution in the form of Coffee Board to oversee and become a competent authority on matters coffee. take care of production and productivity, ensure there is strategic, targeted marketing of Kenyan coffee, establish the Kenyan coffee blood in the global market, and ensure that the farmers continue to enjoy better prices. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that today, despite the advances in technology, buyers of coffee still have to physically be present in Nairobi to be able to bid for our coffee. It is envisaged that with the coming of this bill, we will have a truly digital coffee exchange so that any lover of coffee across the globe, sitting in their homes and in their cities, in their own destinations, can bid for coffee that is on offer at a coffee exchange in Nairobi, allowing our farmers to have a better access to markets globally. Mr. Speaker, the production of coffee has also suffered due to the failure to have a dedicated research institution to take care of coffee. This bill is re-establishing the Coffee Research Institute and ensuring that the Coffee Research Institute will have a wider scope beyond the production of better varieties that are more climate resilient, that have better production, that have a better resistance to coffee diseases. They will also be responsible for disseminating the research knowledge directly to farmers. Mr. Speaker, the small-scale coffee producers have suffered also in the hand of cartel-like tendencies, where we had entities previously holding multiple licenses across the value chain, and therefore they tended to hold the farmers captive. Mr. Speaker, in this bill, we are establishing 3 levels of licensing at the county governments on areas of production, primary processing, and value addition. The sale of coffee or the marketing of coffee will be controlled by the Capital Markets Authority, and the export of coffee will be handled by the Agriculture and Food Authority. And all these licensing bodies have to issue the licenses in consultation so that no single entity will have multiple licenses across the different levels of the value chain. Mr. Speaker, the other area of opaqueness was the settlement of coffee proceeds, such that money sold would be put up would end up in the hands of one entity who was called a marketer, and they would arbitrarily decide what to distribute. Mr. Speaker, we have ensured that we have a centralized settlement system that will encourage both transparency upstream and downstream, so that all deductions can be visible to farmers and other interested players, and the money will be distributed from that central settlement system and distributed to the respective value chain players according to the prices that have been contracted. However, Mr. Speaker, the cooperative movement is a key tool in this country for pooling commodities, pooling resources, and it is important that we do not disrupt the ability of the cooperative movement to leverage on the economies of scale. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, to calm the fears of farmers that had come about from the direct settlement system, we have defined that for the purposes of the settlement of coffee proceeds, the grower, for purposes of the settlement, will be either a coffee cooperative or a coffee estate. And therefore, the power and the ability of the farmers to pool their resources will not be disrupted. Mr. Speaker, the coffee farmer is also receiving quite some support from the national government in terms of subsidized inputs, currently in the form of fertilizer. We are hoping that with the passage of this law, we can also be able to expand the scope of the subsidy so that other inputs like